Okay. Okay, I'll just do my radio intro, and then we'll just jump into some questions.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, welcome back to the Domenick Nati Show on Intellectual Radio in Chicago and iHeartRadio. I've been telling you about our special guest, and the time has come. He is the man. Tyrus is with us today. Tyrus, how you doing?
Maintaining, man. Head above water. How are you? What are you smoking on?
I'm smoking this. Oh, you're a big cigar guy. Okay. This is a Rocky Patel, sun-grown Maduro. Yeah.
Is it heavy or light?
Always heavy. I smoke 5 a day.
Okay.
So
you're okay. You're well beyond the game.
Yeah. I'm not a casual smoker
guy.
This is all I do. I smoke cigars every day and just a little bit of meth, and that's it.
Just a scotch of meth.
Yeah, just a little. Just
More
a little
like
on the weekends.
Just a little pick.
Yeah. Just to get rid of some teeth. Yeah. Okay. So, first of all, I want to ask you a couple political questions. Starting off with this Robin Hood stock thing. Now, do you think that there is a correlation between liberal social media censorship and Robin Hood stock market censorship?
When I look, I'm not this is going to sound weird, but I'm not a political person, which means that I don't just immediately go into defense of the right and attack the left. I try to look at things down the middle. I'm a proud Republican, but I started out as a Democrat like everybody else. When you're broke, you want to be a Democrat. When you start making some money, you become a Republican because you start caring where your money goes. I find that most of the liberal attack stuff is so random and all over the place that it would just be dumb luck more so than a coordinated attack. Now, if it was a Republican group doing it, yeah, 100%, because we tend to stick together, and when our extremes tend to be a little more get things done-ish, unless dogs chasing a tire kind of a thing. So I would say that there's more probably coincidences than actual. Just, you know what, and every once in a while, good for the little guy, about damn time, because we're always getting crushed. So I don't really feel bad about it. I think it was the difference is that because of the political climate we're in now, where if this would have happened under President Trump, he would have probably sided with the little guy and the story would have been over. The story would have been how Trump sided with the little guy, But now we're living in a time where everyone's woke, and this story is getting blown up more than it probably is, and everything's being connected now, and everything's a conspiracy. And I just refuse. I refuse to get caught up in any of the conspiracy theories. I'm a facts guy.
Okay. Yeah, because I did notice that it seems like, I don't know if you saw Jimmy Kimmel's tweet yesterday, where he compared Jon Stewart to Donald Trump, because Jon Stewart agreed with it. Are you frozen? Oh, okay. I didn't know. Okay. So I'm trying to understand if there is an agenda where it seems like the left feels like what they did was wrong and the right does not. So I didn't know if you saw a connection that way.
No, well, the connections will be made, and that's the problem is I say a lot on TV, like, you can't argue with ignorant because ignorant can attach itself to anything. If you ever try, and I'm sure you've been in this and a million times, the guy who's interviewed or debated or just having a conversation, when a dummy's mind's made up, you cannot convince them because they can connect anything to a lie or a story. No matter what you say to them, like, facts mean nothing. They just want to win the argument. And so there's unfortunately way too much of that going on right now.
So Shepard Smith recently said that Fox News spreads misinformation, and he wonders how people sleep at night. So were you friends with Shepard, and what are your thoughts on him saying that Fox spreads misinformation?
Well, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. To say Fox spreads misinformation is misinformation. But before I say that, I admire and love Shepard Smith. I think he's a great journalist, and I enjoyed the few times I got a chance to meet him. He was always polite, always nice to me. All I can do is talk about my experience at Fox News, and never once my entire career have I ever been pulled aside, given a note saying, this is where we need you to go, or say this tonight, or be this way. Anything that I have said on Fox has come from my own mouth and my own desire to say what I want to say. Sometimes it was unpopular. Sometimes people didn't agree with me, but I said what I wanted to say. So what an individual does with the time or the platform that they're given by Fox News, I would say the responsibility clearly falls on them. If it comes out your mouth and you decide you own it, it's yours. So do we have opinion shows on Fox that kick their opinions? Yes, because they're opinion shows. And we have great news shows. We have great anchors, and Chris Wallace and Dana Perino and Brett Baer. I mean, they tell the news, they report the news. And you can make the argument during the election, they're the only ones who called. When they called Arizona, everyone was pissed off, but it was right. It was the right call. So whenever I hear that, just because you disagree with someone, if they choose to speak on whatever they choose to speak on, it's their responsibility. And you should probably know the difference between an opinion and an actual news show. And I think it's pretty clear on Fox which is opinion, because they tell you, and which is not.
Now, did you know about this, that he said, that Shepard Smith said that they spread misinformation? Or is this the first you're hearing of it?
No, I watched his interview because, again, I admire him greatly. I think, he's really good at what he does. And again, I can only speak to my experiences.
Okay.
So, and my experience has been, and like I said, I am a unicorn. There's not many people,
Right.
Big 6'8", light-skinned brother walk around with a Red Sox hat on who's not wearing a suit and tells like it is. And, I think if anything, I've just been allowed to be myself. And that's one of the reasons why. And I don't think I could get away with that on other networks. They would have me take my hat off, put on a suit, and read whatever's on the teleprompter. Whereas Fox is like, oh, it's your opinion, you do it.
How did you get this gig? I knew you as Brodus Clay. I mean,
right. I still sometimes go, how the hell did this happen? So I'm a locker room guy. We sit around and shoot the shit in the locker room, and we're all leading experts on everything with no experience, as long as it has a good punchline. And we talk about a lot of things especially in the WWE locker room. And Glenn Jacobs, the great Kane, was always there to talk about being fiscally responsible, what to do with your money, political, when he talked about political stuff. And it was just like, when we would have these deep political conversations, Daniel Bryant, Heath Slater, Drew McIntyre, during one time we were all arguing over what was going on in Scotland. And so our locker room kind of became like a sports political, that's what we talked about, or how to download the newest apps on iTunes, or what to binge watch. The WWE locker room has changed over the years. And so it kind of started there. And then Greg Gutfield saw a comment I made on Twitter and invited me to be on the show. And literally at first, I thought it was bullshit. Just being real with you, I'm like, all right, this little white guy wants the wrestler to come to New York to be on his show, right? Like, can I bring my wrestling gear, and will I slam him around and choke? You know what I'm saying? Because you get weird stuff.
You do, yeah.
Media, you know what I'm saying? So, but when it actually went down and I went on there, during the first commercial break, he's like, this is great. Like, I would love to have you back. He goes, if you lived in New York, you'd be my co-host. And I was like, yeah, right, get out of here. But I was like, well, I'm not moving to New York. So, but he's like, hey, how about you come on once a month? I was like, awesome, thank you. So I thought it was kind of cool. It was more like something different, big challenge, give my 2 cents, see if anybody really gives a damn. And because at the end of the day, we all have an opinion. So, what makes mine better than the guy next to me? I guess delivery. But it just kind of grew from there. And then we need you every week, and then, hey, let's negotiate. Because at the same time, I'm Impact, things are going pretty well, and I'm in line to be, probably win a title pretty soon. And then we started having, unfortunately, Dixie Carter and all the good people over in Impact started going through some really tough financial times. So I had to get another job. Wrestling, traveling around the world wrestling, you can make a lot of money. When you have kids and a family, you need consistent everyday money. You can't have where you don't get booked for a couple months or whatever. So as this continued to develop, and the way I looked at it is I was just practicing my promos, and it kind of grew. And then, you're under contract, and it's like next year you're a Fox News contributor, and you're like, how the hell did this happen? And then everyone automatically assumes, oh, you're retired from wrestling, you're done, you never gonna wrestle again. No, I'm just locking down this, just like if I was doing a movie. You get good at this, and then you get, you try to bring it all together. So, but of course we had the pandemic, so that stop my wrestling, get back into wrestling. I was going to wait till the pandemic had slowed down because I really didn't want to not wrestle in front of a crowd, because I only wanted to wrestle for a year or so just to say goodbye to the fans and
Yeah.
go out on my shield, put some young kid over and go off into the sunset, and then, stick with doing movie news and a special appearance of wrestling. But that's still the plan. But things get spread out a little bit, during these crazy times.
Are you a supporter of the COVID vaccine?
Yeah, 100%.
You are.
100%.
Okay. Now, is that a problem at Fox? Because do you feel like a lot of people are not wanting you to support this?
No, again, I have never, and I'll say this a million times, never has anyone at Fox ever said, hey, don't support this. Hey, can you say this? Perfect example. They talk about when Trump when President Trump made a comment about the football players. I went off. Colin Kaepernick supported him. So again, if I was not the team, like when I hear people talk that stuff, I'm like, if you bothered to actually look at the body of work, I believe you can still be on Project Dolphin and be a Republican and be a conservative. Politics is not religion. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't all be one voice. You should never put a party over your patriotism. And you should never agree with everything a politician does. There's no way. Some of the things President Trump, some of his policies I thought were good. Some of them I didn't care so much for. And I was open about that. And no one ever took me off the air. No one ever said, hey, don't say this. No one edited out a comment. And I really believe that Fox News is probably the only place where I would be able to do that. I can't see myself fitting into CNN. And I would say that I'm liberal, especially in terms of environment and those type of things, where there's probably more people that would agree with me on the opinion shows of CNN necessarily than the opinion shows of Fox. But Fox allows me to be me with no filters, no nothing. I've never, ever had a call from any Susan, Holly, any of my bosses saying, hey, we need this. Here's your script. That's not how we get down at Fox News.
Okay. Now, are you African American or are you biracial? Like, just to clear something
Is
up.
there a difference?
What?
Is there a difference?
Um.
I'm African American. My mother's white, but I'm African American.
Okay. And there is no difference to me.
Yeah.
It's more.
Yeah. The new generation has new terms for everything, but I'm just light-skinned African American. That's who I am. That's what I am. But I understand the different tones, and it's just, there's the part where hopefully at some point in my life I could embrace a word like biracial, but I just don't. Growing up, it was never a question in my neighborhood. It was never ever like, oh, hey, you could be this and this. Like, it was always black, or when someone was negative to me, they always dropped the N-bomb. They never said, well, no passes were given. And even the nicest, most considerate white friends of mine or people I've met, they still noticed the difference. Like, the best way I can describe it, this is my life experience, is I'll walk into a room full of brothers and they'll be like, yeah, black. And then I'll walk into a room full, that's what, they'll be like, you're black. I can tell you light skin, you black. And then you go in the same room, and these aren't people who are racist. These are just people, and they'll be like, you're black, right? So no one ever goes, hey, you're white. You can be white. Just doesn't happen. Now, things have changed, and, the world's changing, and it's, I don't believe that we have the same constraints that my forefathers and the generation before me had at all. I think America has become truly a place of opportunity and hurdles, more so than blatant outright racism. But the one thing I don't like is trying to oversimplify like names and titles and things like that. There's a great poem in the book Roots where it talks about what a quadroon is. Like, literally, you could have 1/3 and you were still considered black back then. They would find it, and you would be treated differently. So I tend to be less accepting of when I hear someone say biracial. No, I'm black. I don't know what biracial is.
Okay, but let me. So your mother is white and your father is black.
Yeah.
But you only identify as black.
Never had another option. Never was given
because of the way you look. Right? Is that what you're saying?
The culture and society that I lived in growing up and live in now, it's literally been brought up every time. I mean, when Barack Obama became president of the United States, did you hear anybody saying the
Yeah.
white guy is in? No, he's black. He's the first black president. His
Right.
mama was super white, Midwest white. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't get much whiter than the Midwest. And you never heard anybody say, like, well, the white guy's in, because that's just the way our society and culture works. And I'm fine with it, because I don't know how else to be mentally or physically. And that's just where it's at. And again, based off our history in this country, we look a lot different than our brothers and sisters in Africa, because we've been so intermixed. So,
Have you experienced racism at Fox News?
have I, from my coworkers? No.
What I mean, every black person experiences racism almost in every
Yeah.
work environment, right?
Yeah, but not. I'm telling you right now, I have been. You look at Greg Gutfeld, Dana Perino, Jesse Waters, Sean Hannity, all these guys. Whatever your persona of them is on TV, these are wholesome, good people. I personally don't agree with Sean Hannity on much, but he's one of the guys that I would say that if you were in trouble and you needed something, this guy would be there. He's that kind of a guy. Whether you agree with his stuff, whether his opinions and his opinions on politics and things like that, I don't agree with probably 95% of them. But he's a good dude. And I believe that you have the right in this country to speak your political views, and it has nothing to do with race. It's easy to equate that when someone disagrees with you. The easiest thing to do is when a white guy disagrees with me is say, oh, he's racist. Because then we can't argue about that anymore. We can't fix that. That's my opinion. And when you get in those things where people, just like with me, fans online, when I get supportive comments, probably 75% of my comments are nothing but love. Then I'll get the, oh, you're Uncle Tom because you work at Fox, or being called names by other brothers, call me Gaboon and all these other things, because that's going to get a response out of me. Like, I grew up hearing that shit. I was called every name in the book. And as I grew and as I became a grown-ass man, I realized that a lot of times when people are talking shit about you or they try to make racial connections because that's the only argument they got. And they don't have the same power anymore. It doesn't work. Like, if I'm in a restaurant with my family and someone across the table was like, oh, there's a Negro over there, I'm not eating my meal here. Now, 20 years ago, there might be some other people like, you know what, I didn't notice that. Oh my God. Waiter, and the waiter would come like, oh, you know what, let's get him out of here. And the group of people would actually support that. Now, if that happened, the tables would turn on him. People would be like, I can't believe you would say that. Like, he doesn't deserve to be here. The waiter and the manager would ask him to leave, and they'd give me a free shrimp cocktail. You know what I'm saying? Like, times have changed. So I don't really put that much into it. There's always going to be racist people. There's always going to be sexist people. There's just going to be ignorant people. They just don't have the pull that they had anymore, because the society has changed, and we're seeing that, and we continue to see that. I mean, I'm allowed to come on Fox News and give my opinion every week, and I'm not getting beat up or lynched or asked to leave or have Greg interrupt me or ask me to sing and dance instead of giving my mind. I mean, you can make the argument all day long. And plus, I'm too damn big to let somebody talk to me that way anyways. But,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but isn't Fox the one they'll try to make people believe that Black Lives Matter, or people that are fighting for a racial injustice, are a terrorist group, or that they're
I support Black Lives Matter, and I'm on Fox.
Okay.
And all day long. Do I agree with some of their political stuff? No. But I think Barack Obama said it best. Like, Black Lives Matters, no more, no less, but equal. We want the same as everybody else. Listen, I've been face down on the ground with a 45 in the back of my head by a police officer. I get it. I've been there with the bad cops been pulled me over. I've also been pulled over by some damn good, honorable police officers. So, unfortunately, does those things still happen? Yeah. Do they suck? Yeah. Do I talk to my kids about being pulled over? Yeah, I started that conversation when they were 6. Because if they're in the car with me, they need to understand the potential, like, it's a real thing. I don't doubt it. I don't disclaim it. And again, I go back to, at Fox News, no time has anyone ever said to me, hey, can't have you on the air tonight because you support this and that. I mean, I wouldn't work there. I don't have to. Still in good shape, still look young. I can go travel the world and make money. Plus, I'm married up, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't have to do this. I choose to do this, and they allow me to do what I do with no restrictions. Obviously, if I go too far and say some wild stuff, I'll have to be accountable for that. But again, I think the biggest misnomer about Fox News is that the competition has created this, Brian Stellers of the world, who used to work there, the Brian Stellers of the world, they like to create these, like this evil story of what it is at Fox News. And I'm telling you right now, I would walk away in 2 seconds if somebody called me out my name at a job like that or told me what I couldn't say, because at the end of the day, I have to live with what I say. My fans matter to me. Like, I'm not a type of celebrity who isn't in the mix with everybody. I shop at my supermarket. I go to my local barber. Like, I go to my local gym when I'm allowed to. Even with the mask on, people still recognize me. I'm a big part of my community. I cannot see saying some bullshit just to get on TV. I've been on TV pretty much regular since 2010. So I got plenty of stuff. I'm doing movies. I can stop at any times, and I don't need the camera to be famous. I don't need the camera to make money. So I'm not going to say something just to get attention. And there's a lot of people who do that on both sides.
Sure.
We talk about the Fox News all the time, but let's take a look at Don Lemon. I mean, Don pushes his opinion nonstop. Now, if you agree with it, it's fine. But when he was trashing Ice Cube and he was saying all these, because Ice Cube was trying to potentially work with somebody because it was about the greater good, and working with people you don't get along with or don't have the same ideology is a good thing, because you might actually, the only way you learn from each other is dialogue. And we keep missing that instead of trashing somebody. Like, I watch Bill Maher every Friday. Bill Maher is the godfather of this business, in my opinion. Like, every one of us who are sitting there having this conversation is because we saw Bill Maher. When you look at talk comedy and politics, like, Bill Maher is where it's at. And to deny that because you don't agree with some of the things he says is ignorant to me.
Now, who would you say, who is your least favorite anchor, either at Fox or CNN, or someone that you met? Like, if you had to pick someone, be like, this guy is the most difficult to deal with, or a woman.
If you ask fans of Fox News, they blame it on Juan Williams. Like, I think Juan Williams is the toughest man in the business, because he goes to work every day on the road, like on the 5, when he does the 5 and stuff. You know what? Probably the worst. I'm trying to think. Probably me, when it comes to, like, because I'm back and forth on everything, and I get emotional about stuff, or sometimes I don't take things as serious as I probably should. But I try to learn a little bit from everybody, and we're all given opinions. So we're not, even with, you try to be as fact-based as you can, or level. I try to be common sense, middle of the road. I try to think whenever I say something, it can be repeated to anyone, So I really don't, I focus on myself. I guess that's the biggest. I'm not a critic. So
is there any divas, like, is Tucker Carlson or someone, like, hard to deal with, or, like,
No, man, everyone just brings their A game. It's just like, because at the end of the day, it's a competition when you're on TV. I look at it like I can't, WWE wrestling is competitive to me. You want to have the best match, you want the best thing, and there's no difference. You get in front of that TV and you're going to spit your ideas. I want my ideas to win. I want to be the one where that my phrase is being retweeted all week. That's the way I look at it. It's a competition for me. So I try to compete at a high level. So I always say, bring your A game, because I'm bringing mine. And when you're working on the level at Fox News, you have to bring your A game.
You said that you married up. When did you get married?
5 years ago.
Okay, so you've been married for 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, have you ever dated any celebrities in the past that we don't know about?
Celebrities? No.
Yeah. No. Okay. Okay. Well, let's clear this up, because I see it in the comments. So you were involved in a sexual harassment lawsuit with your co-host Britt McHenry last month. Has this case been dismissed?
Well, like I said, it wasn't last month. I think it's been almost 2 years now. And
okay.
Yeah, my attorneys do all that talking, and you can welcome to look up the investigation at any time. It's all open. I have no comment about that situation, because I'm not going to bring any light to it.
Okay. So I understand that. I mean, can you comment on like what Fox producers said to you when this lawsuit came up?
Didn't say anything to me. Like I said, I have no comment.
No comment at all.
Nope.
Okay, I know that I see everyone writing in there, so so you're not going to address that. Okay,
No reason to.
right. With no reason to. Okay. Now I ask people this too. I don't know. This is more of like a fun question, but have you ever considered doing OnlyFans?
No,
No, not your thing.
not my thing.
Okay. Okay. Now there's some questions in the question box. Is it all right if I ask some of the viewer questions?
Go ahead. If I don't like it, I won't answer it.
Okay. Um, this is Angela. What do you mean by you married up?
That's an expression for your wife's way prettier than you could possibly imagine. I look like Shrek. She does not.
um, what was the best scene on the Stand on It movie? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, probably. I think my favorite scene was the scene with Dion when he put the car door in the front seat. I think that was probably my funnest scene. And telling him to put it in the back seat and telling him there's no way he could be my son.
Okay. Um, the movie Stand on It. Will you do another movie?
Yeah, we're actually getting. They just started writing a sequel to that, and I'm always auditioning, and whenever opportunities come along, I usually take it if my schedule permits.
Okay. Ask him about UnPC. I loved that show.
It was fun. I got moved on to Enough Said, and that's what I'm doing now on Fox News.
Okay. Is it okay for men to wear brown V-necks? This is an insight.
I would say yes. I have no problem with earthy tones.
What about maroon? You think
If
maroon is?
that's your thing, you do it. Not me personally, but
Me
hey, if it works.
I agree. I agree with all that. What do you think of Chris Cuomo?
I think he really likes his own catchphrases. Like a catchphrase, you say it and it's either embraced, but if you keep pushing it, like let's get after it. But when the fans don't say it back, it doesn't work. You need to move on. But I commend his commitment to his catchphrase.
You think he tries too hard to be a trendsetter?
I think so a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It strikes me that way, but I don't know him personally, so I can't really judge.
Is there anybody at CNN or MSNBC that you are friends with?
No,
No.
it's a pretty lonely business. I haven't really met anybody. I don't go to events and elbow rubbing things and things like that. Those are the times I'd rather be at home. So I don't make the trips, where you're to go to conventions and things like that. I just don't see any point in it.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you still watch the WWE product?
Of course, most of my
Yeah.
friends is the heavyweight. Drew McIntyre is the heavyweight champ. Bobby Lashley's United States champ. MVP's back in. So I don't watch it every week, but whenever my friends got something going on, I'll check it out and I support.
Hey, Tyrus, I loved you on the movie Stand on It. Okay, we did that one. How much do you love living in Texas? What part of Texas are you in?
I live in the part of Texas called Louisiana. So Texas is a great town, great state. I wrestled there. I spent some time in there. I lived in Louisville many, many moons ago. But yeah, it's a great state, but I'm actually in Louisiana.
Do you watch any reality TV, and do you watch a show called 90 Day Fiance?
Okay, I was held against my will by my wife to watch 90 Day Fiance.
Don't say it like that. You
No,
like it.
because luckily I complained enough and we broke away. And once we started watching The Curse of Oak Island, life got a lot better. Like Curse of Oak Island, and then we jumped to Alone, which I am in season 3 now. I watched the first season, and now I'm binge watching to get it up. But Alone, it's all about Alone right now, and I'm reading books again on being in the out. I'm inspired again to go be in the outdoors. So I camped, hunted, and everything when I was a kid and a young man. And then you get in the real world in real time, you get away from it. But now I spend my time naming the plant they're picking before they name it, and the animal, and telling them which way to build the shelter. So to the point where I've been told to put up or shut up, to where my wife challenged me to reach out to a loan, like, and actually gave me permission, like, so I could go be gone for 71 to 100 days. She's like, alone in the forest? You bet you can. So I'm prepping for what probably would never happen, but I'm getting ready for a loan. Plus, we just got property in Montana, so I can go practice I can do my loan prep in Montana. I got to dig a well and all that fun stuff from the ground up. So I can go do my outdoorsman stuff. And my friends are real supportive. They're all like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So we'll see how, like, PJ and you guys know him as Justin Gabriel in WWE, and Alex Riley, some of my close friends are all like, yeah, let's all do some outdoor training together. It'll be great. Until, we actually get out there and see who's made of it. So, but that's pretty much it. I've really limited TV stuff other than movies.
But you did watch 90 Day Fiance. Do you remember
any
of the?
I watched
your wife wanted
to affect my life. My brain, I felt myself getting dumber. I started.
That's the show.
Involved.
Yeah, that's the one.
I became friends with Tom, and then I realized he takes a lot of damn selfies, like way too many selfies. And I just every time on Instagram he pops up, he's like this close doing something like that, and I'm just like, I didn't. I'm not. That's not really my thing, bro. Like, but my problem is I always end up supporting the guys on 90 Day Fiance, and then they end up making me look like an idiot, But Tom's whole situation, I was all about. Tom was my guy. We talked a couple times. He was actually we were trying to get him on our podcast, but at the time they were so big, we just couldn't flying back and forth in New York and London. We weren't able to get it down. And then once they move on to the other story, it's like the fans just kind of forget about them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's the cool part about reality TV. It's like, you're only as good as the last time you threw champagne at somebody.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. He's Tom's a good friend of mine too. Yeah. He's the king of selfies. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me see if I missed any. What do you learn in life when you did WWE? What was your biggest life lesson?
That's a great question. There were so many. The WWE was so influential in helping me get things in perspective and reaffirming hard work, and just I learned a lot about, this sounds weird, I learned a lot about family in the WWE too, because it's something that I always try to avoid. And they're very close knit. Now, I just naturally tend to be a loner, but the way the guys, the way we all worked together while we had each other's back, and how our friendships carried on many moons after, our time in the WWE is over. So a lot of great friends, good experiences, and it really reaffirmed my work ethic.
I interviewed Ryback a few seasons ago. And
I love
I know that's your friend. And I have a question I watch wrestling with my son. He's 13. Yeah. And he loves it. And I just wonder, like, are some guys less hygienic than others? This is what I asked Ryback. He thought it was a really stupid question. But
I that goes without saying. It's not just wrestling. It doesn't matter. I mean, interviews, people you work with,
But you're up in their crotch sometimes. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think I've ever been up in a crotch. Even a power bomb is right here, and you let him go.
But you're close.
We're all pretty hygienic. I think that's part of getting to that high level. You understand the WWE is like being in the NFL, the NBA, like not only the top tier, the best in the world get an opportunity to be there. So, by the time you get there, it's a business. You act accordingly. Nobody wants to be probably the only, what I'll say, the only thing is that the biggest issue is to make sure you take care of your knee sleeves and elbow pads, because that's stuff that being in the bag gets kind of dank or whatever. So I would carry with 2 or 3 extra elbow sleeves, because especially when you're on a road trip or whatever, and it's old school. We end up washing our stuff in the sinks of hotels and stuff like that. But hygiene, everything else is just anything else on a high level. Everyone else is on a high level. Really don't have those issues. I never came across it.
Well, let me ask you this, because there's some things in the in the comments. You mentioned being a black person, being obviously conservative on a conservative network, and when you said when Obama went into the White House, you said there's the black president, not the biracial president or the white president. So, I mean, what is your stance? How do you feel that the Obamas did for the black community when they were in office?
I think he did. I think personally, would have liked him to take a few more risks, but I think Obama played it safe. I think his goal, I don't think his goal was ever to be the first black president for black people. He wanted to be the president for every American, and his decisions were based off that. And I think he did sometimes I wish he would have done maybe one or two things more, like, for example, prison reform. I think President Trump really raised the bar on prison reform, and he won't get any credit for it because he's attacked so much by mainstream media. But opportunities for prison reform, I thought President Obama could have done more. But at the same time, you can, as a president, there's only so much you can get done. And people, especially if you're a President Barack Obama fan or if you're a President Trump fan, both presidents went through similar issues in terms of dealing with the House and the Senate. They just obstruction. Nobody wanted to work with anybody. So to say, could a president get done more, whether it was Obama or Trump, whether you're Republican or Democrat, it really depends on whether the Senate and House is going to work with him. And a lot of people don't realize, considering he had the Senate and he had the House at the beginning of his presidency, but once Mitch McConnell became leader of the Senate, it was a wrap. They were no longer working with him in anything. And their goal was to have him be a one-term president. So, and he beat them, but the people who suffer are the American people. See, obstruction doesn't hurt them. It hurts us. They can sit around and not work together like what we're seeing right now, where President Biden is now in. And I personally believe that when a president wins his first 100 days, everyone should just pretty much give him what he wants. I mean, the American people spoke. He's the new president. His first 100 days, Republican senators and House members should kind of help him get his agenda that he was elected on underway. And then once he gets a couple things in, then we can get into the debate and things like that. But we're just not seeing that. We're just seeing obstruction, and nothing gets done. So it's not so much the presidents. We just need someone to get in there to have the balls to say term limits and take away qualified immunity, and we would see a completely different government. Spin would be gone. Career politicians who answer to lobbyists and special interests would be gone because they don't have enough time to set up shop. And they would have to, I don't think politics should not be a career. I don't think a guy should be a senator until he literally dies in the chair. I think that's a problem. And we're seeing a lot of issues in this country. It all gets blamed on the president. The buck stops with him. But if you look at the real problems that we're having getting things done, i.e. getting people checks who deserve it, getting this country back on its feet, all we're seeing is the people who have their insurance paid, who have a guaranteed paycheck, arguing back and forth and taking their sweet time to get things done. But if they're on term limits and they could be sued for the things that come out of their mouth that affect other people, affect property, we would have a completely different government, in my opinion.
Are you happy with what Trump did for black people? Like, do you feel that he made it easier for white supremacists to be vocal? How do you feel on that line? There's a lot of people say that.
Here's the thing. The only way a white supremacist gets his message out is if the media picks it up. Now, President Trump, he's from that generation and President Biden's also from that generation where everything was individual, but then when they don't know someone, they rely on stereotypes. That's typically what that generation does. If you work for me, if you're good for me, I don't give a damn what color you are, but if we don't get along, that's usually the first thing they bring up when they're in arguments with people. Do I think President Trump made things easier for white supremacists? I think we know more about them now because some of the comments that he made that weren't in the best light or were extorted, or when he goes back and changed it. But the media had made up their mind that they were going to tell that narrative no matter what happened, because he did do things for the community. But here's the deal. I don't speak for Black America. I don't. Right. We don't have meetings where we all go, okay, Tyrus, this is what we're going to go over this week. Just like you don't speak for your group. And whenever
Guido's
question, whenever I'm asked that question, politics is about money and status. Like, if you make over $200,000 a year, President Trump did a lot of good things for you. You get less taxes, things are better for you. If you made between 35 and 65, no. You got hurt. You felt the pinch. Small businesses got hurt. And so that happens. And then now the Democrats are coming in, and now they're going to try to do more things for the people who make between 35 and 60,000, or was it 90,000 a year, and those of us who make are blessed to make a little more than that, we're going to feel the pinch and we're going to get taxed more. I mean, that's just kind of how the beast works, you know. But the
Right.
good news is, no matter what it is, it's only 4 years. So, and as we can see with executive orders, it's all going to get changed out anyway. So nothing's forever, no matter how much the media wants to make it sound that way. Did white supremacists try to cash in on anything? Yeah, but if you look at the people who were pouring gasoline on fire, it was the media. Mainstream media was trying to use that because if they really weren't interested in, because if we're arguing, if you and I are arguing about race right now, we're not talking about nothing else.
Right.
So, and when you get a news story that says black man assaults white woman outside of a store, immediately lines are drawn. It was like, oh my God, because that's the headline. Then you actually read the story, and it's not quite as salacious as it made out. We become a news for ratings. So if they actually told the crime that was committed, a man committed assault and was arrested, and at the very last paragraph that and his description was, 5'10", 110-pound African American, it wouldn't be a racist thing.
Right.
You'd be like, this guy was an idiot who committed a crime. The color of his skin is regardless, you know what I'm saying? But because it's black, then immediately, then you get into the people, then you get the idiots who get on there and be like, see, this is what black guys do. But who's giving them that light? The media is.
What
it's
media?
Just across the board. Like when we stop saying black this, white this, Asian that to describe someone to get people to flip the pages of the story, and we actually just told the damn story and left their skin color out, we wouldn't be arguing so much about it. It's just because that's such an easy out for anything. Anyone, you and I have this conversation, and any question you ask me that because you're racist, trying to make a brother look bad. You just ask a question. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But now I made it about race. And there's too much of that. There's too much whataboutism and too much everything's racist to the point where it doesn't mean anything. White supremacist is used so much that an actual real one gets the same attention as someone who just says something that maybe not necessarily can be construed a certain way. Or if you criticize someone of a different color, you're racist instead of you're talking about their work ethic and their character. You know what I'm saying? There's too much of just trying to, and it's an easy out. Anyone can use it. Like I said it before. You cannot argue with ignorant because it can attach itself to anything.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's hard to say. I've been working in media for 15 years. You work in media. It's a weird business because no people group is actually attacked more than the media because we don't really even stick up for ourselves. We attack, we're guilty of it, but it works. That's the problem. If I said human attacks human, that headline doesn't get picked up. But because that's the truth. They're just people. And I think social media proves that. You start spreading footage of white people fighting and throwing up, acting stupid. And it's like, well, wait a minute, look at these thugs. And I see my black friends say it, and they're right. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm Italian. Like, we act just as stupid as everybody. It's
stupid to pass around.
Yeah, like it's everybody, and I get when they say that, and they're right. They're like, oh, look at these thugs. They look different because they're rednecks or whatever, you know what I mean? But it's the same thing. It's humans attacking humans. But if they, had dreads, and it would be like, oh, then they're thugs. Look at the people that stormed the Capitol building.
Yeah.
What if those people were black? Think about that. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, honestly, that would be I know that you think about that because but I'm saying, like, for a lot of white people, I'm like, well, imagine that. Like, just all black people go climbing over it. Like, imagine how your psyche would think, and it's, I know that you already know this, but there's a lot of people, I'm like, think about it. But it's like, it's amazing how people talk where they're like, well, those are probably good, hardworking people. And your network said that. I mean, not that you're responsible for it, but I'm saying it's like, dude, you don't know if those are good, hardworking people, most of them. Like, you don't know anything about them. They could be thugs. They could be criminals.
They could be. They could be model citizens at a library. I really don't care.
Yeah.
Attempted insurrection in a coup. So really what they did before that day is irrelevant. It's just like anything else. You literally could be the greatest artist in the world. Your work's everywhere. And then one day you kill somebody. You're a murderer for the rest of your life. Forget all the work you did in your art. It's the same thing. So again, whenever you try to paint a nicer picture of someone to try to somehow comfort what they did, it's the same BS. It's because when they are under your flag, your tribe, when they're under your hut in terms of like Republican or right wing or left wing. I said I've been very like I don't care if you're burning buildings in Oregon or you're attacking the Capitol in D.C. You're the same bad people. We need to stop giving them crutches like, oh well, they're diehard conservatives and they're Antifa. No, take all the names away. They're criminals who chose to break the law. They saw a protest and they took advantage of it. They were always looters and pillagers. They were nothing more. They have, and when you even talk to them and ask them, like, well, why did you break? Oh, because they just saw a shiny
Opportunity.
fire. Let's just go do it, and they get grouped in but then here's where the groups who run the protest, the peaceful protest, have to think outside of the box to where if I'm leading a protest for the right to wear hats to work. Okay, let's make it not racism at all. Just simplify it down. And I'm mobilizing, and I got the big crowd, and we're chanting, and we're letting our voices be heard in the most right way possible and respectful way of our neighbors and in the area, and we're in our protest area. And then 15 people in my group break off and start breaking into a Nike store and torching the place. My protest will be done right there so the police could do their job, and I will reconvene afterwards. Because the message is more important, and I'm not going to allow my message to be destroyed by these 15 idiots who decide to go destroy property in the name of of a civil rights movement, because they're not a part of it. And if you look at Martin Luther King, one of the reasons why that he was so great and is so remembered is because he protested the way you're supposed to. He marched, and it was way different than it was now. We don't have cops with fire hoses and German shepherds. You think about what they walked through holding hands, and it was people of all color, because equality is equality. It doesn't matter if you're in a trailer home trying to keep your electric on in Mississippi or you're in New York. It doesn't matter what color you are. Poor is poor, and it sucks. And being treated less than a man sucks, or a woman. So we like to acknowledge when you talk about peaceful protests. If you have to say peaceful protesters, that's a problem.
Right.
That's a problem.
Should be understood. Yeah.
It should be understood, but it's not, because when it happens, there's that great scene where the reporter at MSNBC is talking about the peaceful protesters. There's a fire behind them, and it doesn't look like anything's going on here. Well, bruh, turn around, But he was too busy trying to get his story out without actually looking behind him. So I always look. Like I said, I don't give anybody names or group names. They're criminals, and giving them nicknames or giving them political affiliations just kind of like softens what they did, in my opinion. So the people who stormed the Capitol, the individuals who continue to burn shit up in Portland, they're the same people to me. They're criminals and should be treated as such.
I appreciate you saying that. I'm a non-voter. I get a lot of flack for that. It's just the truth.
It's your right.
Yeah, I don't vote. I don't have a party. And listen, I worked with celebrities for 15 years, and I'm glad that people are coming out, because in 15 years ago, I worked with a lot of NBA, NFL players, and you'd be surprised at how many millionaires seem to be more right wing. So because it's about money.
I told you at the beginning.
Yeah,
we're all
I worked with NBA players. Yeah, when Obama was running for office, and I was like, oh yeah, he's black, and there was a lot of pressure, and I was like, bro, you make $10 million a year. You're not a Democrat. You know what I mean? That's like, honestly, and it's about money. It's like, so I get that. It's like, it doesn't matter what color. It's like, people want to keep their money. There's a lot of celebrities that say one thing, but secretly they're like, well, I want to keep my.
Bell said it best when he was voting.
He did say it best.
Against Hillary, and and they were like excited, and he was like, he ain't good for you. He's good for my bottom line. Because I make money. Trump's good for my money. And President Trump was good for a lot of people's money. Unfortunately, like I said, you throw the pandemic in there, and you throw all other stuff, and then of course he completely ruined his presidency at the end with that. With everything that transpired. And I don't give a damn who you are. Like, if he doesn't have if that incident doesn't happen, you'd be looking at things a lot differently with his presidency. So history will tell. I think he did a lot of things. I'll tell you what, he was the most transparent president we ever had, and he's got everybody involved in politics now. People now are paying attention to the Senate, and they're paying attention to the House, and they're looking at the things going on in their neighborhood. So there was a lot, whether you love them or hate them, you paid attention. And now the #1 TV show in the universe is gone. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things play out these next few months and during the next 100 days of President Biden's presidency.
That's very true. I'll let you go. If you do one thing for my son's name is Noah. You're one of his favorite wrestlers. So I don't know if you could just say, "Hey Noah, it's Brodus Clay.
Hey,
Thanks for watching."
No problem. Hey Noah, what it is, Brodus Clay here. Appreciate you that I'm still your favorite. So good looking out, bro.
Yes, thank you. He'll love that. So what are you promoting right now? Like, where can people follow you? Everything like that.
I only have forms of social media, which is I have Twitter, which is at Planet Tyrus, and Instagram is Tyrus Smash. Both are verified. There's a lot of fake accounts. Apparently, I've become very popular in the catfish world all of a sudden. So if it ain't got a blue check on it, it ain't me, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, the movie Stand on It, which is out right now. You can check it out on johnsnyder.com, and I believe it's Cineplex or one of the websites. You can look it up and check it out. It's doing really well. And of course, you can see me every week on the Greg Gutfeld Show, Saturday nights, 10 p.m., only on Fox News. Fox News, never afraid, just like me. Enough said.
Okay. I saw some of the comments that they would like you and I to wrestle. But I think
hey, if the money's right, bro, I'm in. I got you. Everybody there work with me. You might look at it, be all right. We'll get you through it.
That's right. Go easy on me. Okay. Well, guys, check him out. Follow him on his social media. Check out the movie. And Tyrus, thank you so much for being on the show today. I hope you come back soon.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it.